Dobar dan, danas imam veliko zadovoljstvo i čast da vam predstavim autorku iz Bugarske, Janu Bukovu, književnicu koja je zapravo poznata i koliko po svojoj poeziji, toliko i po svojoj prozi. Ono što čini posebnu čar takođe njenog pripovedanja, ali i njene poezije, jeste što u svemu tome baštini ono što je na neki način i njen drugi poziv, a to je poziv prevođenja. Prevela je mnoge pesnike sa latinskog i sa starog grčkog i to mi se čini da daje posebnu notu u pristupu i viđenju i njene literature i njenog pisanja. Putovanje u pravcu senke je njen prvi roman i danas ćemo razgovarati sa autorkom o tom romanu u kojem kao da je stavljena, odnosno stala ne samo čitava civilizacija, umetnička pre svega, ali i civilizacija i život na ovim prostorima, već i celokupna književnost. Hello, Jana, and thank you very much for this meeting. And
thank you for the invitation. Thank you. Hello.
You're a poet. You translate poetry from the ancient Greek and Latin into Bulgarian. Or you have also published 2 short stories collection, and Traveling in the Direction of the Shadow is your first novel. To what extent were the poetry and poem itself, yours and the one you translated, the short story, of course, a base or a guiding star on this novelistic journey?
I'm a poet. I feel as a poet, and even writing prose, I am a poet. So poetry is everywhere in my view of the world and in my writing also. In this novel, I just tried to share my experience in poetry, but writing stories. For that was the beginning of this journey, trying to share my feeling of poetry in the world, but in the way of storytelling.
The novel is composed of 2 parts, and the first brings us stories from the Balkans. So to speak, unusual biographies of characters who grew up on the literary and real soul of the Balkan, interpret destinies conditioned by historical circumstances, legends, and myths. Can you tell us why you choose precisely the 19th century?
I wanted this storytelling to be free of the obvious reality around us. I needed some distance in order to create a kind of mythological world and free mythological stories. I play and I work a lot with the meaning of myths in this novel. So I needed this distance. I couldn't speak for the moment now. I'm unprepared to speak about the moment now and here. I couldn't speak about the near past. So I wanted some distance, and 18th century is quite mythological time. There are a lot of turbulence in the Balkans. There are a lot of strange people fighting with each other, a lot of beauty, a lot of cruelty, because beauty and cruelty is, I think, the most prominent features of the Balkans. And it gave me the freedom to work with myths absolutely following my instinct and following the need to tell some stories. When I wanted to tell some story, and first I wanted to tell the story, and after that I found the place and the people who experience the story in a way. That was the process.
In your answer, maybe we just can found where you discovered all the materials for the stories, or how much, or at the other side, how much the language itself actually shaped the characters and narratives. And when we talk about language, maybe even more the language, some key words or the words.
As I said, I worked on this novel, as I work on every text I work on, like poetry. As I was writing poetry, I mean that I left a huge empty spaces between the meanings and things which are happening. I love this communication between the writer and the reader, which is a collaboration, and that's the way I worked on my stories. They're not absolutely they're fragmented in a way, because all the world around us is full of fragmented stories. So I wanted to incorporate this fragmentation in my book. As you notice, all these stories are created by my imagination. There is no reality. There are no historical facts they're based on, but they're based on a historical reality. They're not absolutely fantastic. They could have been. They didn't happen, but they're not fantastic. They could have been in the vocals. I forgot the question. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yes,
so it was about the language. It was about the language.
Yes, about the language and about the words. But
yes.
Let's say before that, yes, you actually write about small people for let's say from the margin. From the border, not from the center of everything, and maybe you wanted to find people that history put them away from the books and everything, and their lives is something quite different, and really it can be the some in the some place of the history. Maybe of the creative and literature history.
Yes, and also each of them is very special. Each of them has some kind of talent, some kind of strange fortune, because he or she have to carry this story I created. And when we speak about the language, in the beginning it was the story, and the story created the language. It was not the way, not the other way. Of course, they're not in the margin because they're my heroes, so they're in the center of my world, and I never felt them like people in the margin. They are absolutely in the center, and all the world is around them, and they create it in a way. But all of them, they're very special. They're not ordinary. That's my way to play with magical realism, which is not magical. It's just the magic of reality. It's not fantastic. I just try to focus on these features and these situations in reality, which are not fantastic but are absolutely magical. So I searched for this kind of situations and this kind of heroes and this kind of relationships between people which have this magic in it, in them.
And very interesting, the narrator of the novel is Jan van Aten, a Dutch adventurer and traveler, writer, or someone who wants to become a writer, who searches for the real and imaginary spaces of literature, following the footsteps of his teachers and building their own steps. Is he a collector or a arranger of those stories? Maybe discoverer of the found manuscript or the author of Balkan stories? Or everything?
Or everything. I do not have a clear answer. Of course, he is a creator of some stories, but sometimes he's a hero of some stories, some of the stories, and at the end he's a victim of the narrative. He found himself killed. These are the risks of creating stories. You can engage in them, and they can kill you in the end. Once again, I needed some distance. I wanted this foreigner point of view on the material, on the place where I belong, and I can't see from outside. So I needed this kind of view, and also I wanted to play with a way of reversed exotism. You know, we just can't fight in this feeling that the Balkans are exotic for the foreigners. I hate that. So I wanted to control this exotism, this exotic thing, and to play and in a way make a parody of this and play with humor and sometimes with poetry, with all this situation of the exotic Balkans, the mythological Balkans. So in the first part of the book, there are these beautiful and cruel stories. And the second part of the book, there is this conceptualization of storytelling and what Balkans are and what the beauty of Balkans is and what is the nature of storytelling, and which is I think it's the core issue in all my writings, poetry and short stories and the novel. The core issue is what is reality. What do we perceive of reality, what we see, what we do not see, what we don't want to see, what lies we tell to us about reality. So all these stories which are complex and sometimes we can say, are they real or are they not? The way I work with them is to question all the time the very nature of reality. And I believe that that's what literature does. It's the function of literature, questioning the nature of reality.
Yes, it's interesting, really, but they are real in a book.
Yes.
So
yes,
that's the truth of this book.
But because it's a book, it makes you believe they're real, but it makes you wonder, isn't it all things around me I believe, are they part of imagination, part of somebody's conception about the world? What part of all this reality I'm creating all the time? This questioning is very, very, I believe, very, I think we need all the time, in a way to think about the world and to be better people or better citizens or whatever.
And you mentioned that the second part also reveals to us what we sensed in the first part, that is, this is also a novel about storytelling, about how stories are created or how we arrive in the story, about the art of the reading and translation. What is the art of reading for you?
As I said, it's an art of collaboration. As a reader, I love texts that allow me to collaborate in the storytelling. I'm very bored with texts that tell me everything from the beginning to the end, and they put me in a very clear direction, and I have no choice than walking in this path, and so on. I love reading books that make me think and make me collaborate with the author, make me co-create the story. So this is the thing I tried to do in my book. I love this very democratic literature, which the author and the reader are in the same position and they collaborate in order to text to exist.
And yes, that goes also to the question about identity, identity of the author, but also identity of the reader. How to through the book, how to find himself, but deeply inside him, and who the reader is, and who the author is.
All my characters in the book. Because there are 8 characters, there are 8
chapters,
yes,
8
chapters in the book,
yeah.
And 4 women, 4 men. Every chapter that is the whole story of the character from the beginning till the end, and it is all the time it's the story of becoming yourself. So in a way, all my characters become themselves before our eyes, and also it tells, in a way, in a very parodical way, my own story, because Jan van Aten, I live between Sofia and Athens. I'm Jana from Athens, and Jan van Aten is the foreigner. Male alter ego of mine, of the writer, and because I have this distance, as I said, I can play with very funny ways of describing the way a writer functions and creates stories, and sometimes it's very naive, and sometimes he or she are funny, and sometimes they see things and they feel and understand things from reality absolutely wrong, and they create the wrong story, but the wrong story can be also beautiful, and so on. So all this process is in this prescription of the writer, him or herself, in this in this character, Jan van Aten.
And now we are in the art of translating.
Okay.
You're a translator, and your poetry and prose have also been translated. How do you perceive the translation?
Translation, and in the book there is this view and this conception also. Translation for me is the art of communication. Every communication is kind of translation. You have to translate what you see. You have to translate the meaning. You have to translate the feeling. You have to translate the mood of your the person you're talking or communicating with. So translation is very basic point of my way of thinking, and one of the very prominent characters of this book is the translator, is this guy Utis, and we don't know if part of the stories are product of bad translation, not only the not only the conception and the imagination of the author, but maybe there are some mistakes in the translation which make the stories go this way and not that way, and seem saying something, not this but not that, and so on, so on. And the translator is the only one who survives it in the end. Everybody dies in this book, even the author.
Well, you mentioned Otis, and that name associated with the Odyssey, or
yes, no one.
Yes, but that means that this book is also a kind of dialogue with many world writers and their works. And can this novel be read both as a dedication and as a review of the literary heritage from antiquity to the 21st century?
Yes, it's kind of homage to every kind of prose I loved. It's a way of mapping the ways and the styles of prose I loved. So I have some communication with my favorite authors, with the Latin Americans, which influenced me a lot. Marquez and Borges and Cortázar in a way, and I love their way of telling story. I love their way of putting their own identity into the literature map. And I believe our way in the Balkans is similar to that. We need to keep our identity, but be absolutely contemporary in our ways, the way they did it. And so I learned a lot from them. And there is a constant dialogue with these people, these authors I loved, and also there are some small features where I just show with a small detail or just few words that I in this very moment I communicate with some of them.
And in this book, if Pavić has also the place,
yes.
So maybe it would be interesting for our readers if you could describe Pavić poetics in a few words, just and to say where is Pavić inside in your book.
First of all, Pavić was the reason that I dared to start writing prose. So in his novels, in his books, I saw that you can use everything you have learned from poetry in your prose. This way of mixing poetry and prose for me it opened my horizon. It was like opening a door. I saw that there can be another way of writing prose, and you can incorporate all the things you love in poetry. The surreal, the strange images, the very strange stories. Everything can be in the book of prose, and Pavić was the great teacher for me in that. So first of all, is this mixture between poetry and prose, and of course the magic, but not just. It's not just It's the magic in the world, but the magic in thinking about the world. The storytelling as a way of thinking. It's something that I learned from Pavić and, of course, from Borges. Also, Pavić was teacher for me in that, and the great structures of his book. All his books are very conceptualized. It's thing I love in him, and a lot of other things. But I think I wouldn't be writing prose without Pavić. It was such a bliss for me when I read him.
Okay, thank you very much for this conversation, and I hope that we introduce our readers with your book, with your novel, and hope that we will have a time and opportunity, a chance to find some your new books, also translated in Serbian.
That would be great. That would be great, and I hope that we can have this way of communication and collaboration with the Serbian readers. I would be really, really happy with it.